Ladies and gentlemen, welcome again. I thought I'd make a video about forgiveness, and this one is kind of important because in order for us to develop and to grow and to look after our inner selves, we have to be able to start and stop at certain spots. A stopping is when we make a bad decision on something and we do something that's wrong or immoral or you know some people call it a sin, but it's really a bad choice because we have free will, right? We have that. We can choose good or bad. We can choose that. Um, so when we choose wrong, and again, it's not about being perfect. It's about working on it and continuing to work on it. We have the idea of forgiveness, and I talked a little bit about it in the other video. That forgiveness is for us rather than for anybody else, like the divine or the universe or anybody else. Forgiveness is just for us. And there's a few things that happen when you get forgiveness. And in man's world, right, when something happens, that's history, right? It'll always be there. But in the spiritual realm of things, you have your timeline, and timelines are piled on top of each other, right? And so you can travel through your timelines, and when judgment comes, they go through your timelines and they go to all these spots where you have chosen maybe the wrong path. And they look at that and say, okay, well, you did this and you did that. And the best way I can tell you about this is using an example that is really, and I don't want to trigger anybody, but it's a really a bad thing, right? Let's say someone hit somebody with a car, they were drinking and driving, and they hit somebody with a car, and that person gets really injured. And that is a bad thing. And so this person, while they're doing their time in man's court, they look into themselves and they look inwards and they slay those dragons and they come up with self-love and self-acceptance and they accept the fact that they chose wrong and they sincerely ask God or the divine or Allah for forgiveness. And what happens is judgment goes up and looks at that and says, okay, on this day, on that day, you're watching this happen. You driving the car and hitting this person and that person getting injured. You can see that in real time. Judgment can see that in real time as it's happening. But the second that somebody asks for forgiveness, and the second God says, yes, I forgive you, that is erased. And so when judgment comes up to look at it, they come up and look and they say, okay, on this day, on that time, you're supposed to have this bad incident, this bad decision, and they go there and there's nothing there. And you can't make a judgment on nothing because it's erased. God doesn't hold those things against you. Once you ask for forgiveness, the second he says, yes, I forgive you, that all those things that you asked for forgiveness for are gone in the spiritual realm. Like I said, in man's world, that's history. But in God's world, it does not exist anymore. And so what judgment has to do is look at you from that point on and how your life has been going from there. And if you've lived a good, honest life and you've tried really hard and you've asked for forgiveness when you go wrong, there's no judgment there. There's nothing to judge. And like I said, it's important that man's justice has to be served. But it's very important that God allows us to be, if we do the work and we sincerely want to repent and say we're sorry, if we sincerely are sorry for what we did, God will forgive us. And in the spiritual realm, that is no longer against you. And you now have a whole new life to look at. And judgment looks at that life and says, okay, well, this guy's been living a really good life. He's paid his dues to society. He's living a good life. He's being a good guy. He's made mistakes, but he's always asked for forgiveness, and there's nothing there to judge. And if there's nothing there to judge, then there's no karma, right? Once that's gone, it's gone. You're not carrying that karma forever into future lifetimes, right? You know, the things we do not ask for forgiveness for, the things that we get karma for, and I explained this in the last video, that karma is something that it teaches us a lesson. It's something that bad that happens to us as a result of us making the wrong decisions to teach us a lesson. And karma comes when you're ready to learn that lesson. So when karma comes, right, in the form of maybe bad luck or a opportunity not working out or something, whatever divine justice says it is, this is your karma for whatever you did, it'll come when you're ready to learn that lesson. And so when you live, your soul lives in many lifetimes, right? So in your next lifetimes, if you don't ask forgiveness, you still reap that karma every single lifetime. That karma keeps coming back. And it's like, they call it a curse on your bloodline, but what it is it's just karma has not gone away. You haven't learned the lesson, right? You haven't asked for forgiveness. And like I said, forgiveness is simply for us. It's a way for us to move forward. It's a way for us to examine ourselves, to look at ourselves, to slay those dragons and say, hey, man, I screwed it up real bad. I need forgiveness for that because I need forgiveness for that. And forgiveness is a very important thing, you know. It doesn't mean you get to ask for forgiveness and nothing happens to you. Society still has its earthly justice, and God still has his divine justice. But you can move on from that, and it's not carried over into lifetimes ahead. You know, you don't have a karmic repeat. You know, you're not learning that lesson every single lifetime. It's gone. And judgment comes up and looks at it, and where that incident was in the timelines, right? It's not there. And you can't judge something that's not there. And that's very important, because judgment is not something that happens when you die. Judgment happens now. We are in judgment now. People wonder why. Why is my life falling apart? Why am I not happy? Why am everything not working out for me? Why? Well, it's judgment. And with judgment comes, the wrath of God. Justice. So it's really important for us when we want to attract things into our lives, to build our self-confidence, to build our self-worth, and to build our self-love, to attract the love, the passion, the joy, the abundance. It's really, really important for us to look at what we've done wrong and simply just ask for forgiveness for it and sincerely do it from your heart. You have to be sincere about it. You have to, if you joke with God about asking for forgiveness and you do it just because you think you'll get away with it, God's karma is going to hit you hard. It's going to knock you on your butt. You have to be sincere about it. And it's not like the divine or the universe or Allah is way up here, He's not way up there. He's right beside you. He's around you all the time. and talk to him like you would talk to your bestie or your bro, right? If you swear, swear at him. You know, he doesn't want you to have a facade to say, "Oh God, I'm so holy," and because that's false. Be yourself. Be genuinely you, and say, "Look, God, I really, really fucked up. You know, I'm sorry. I really am sorry. Can you find it in your goodness to forgive me? You know, I really fucked up. Can you find it in your goodness to forgive me?" And then we can move on, and we can continue to grow and continue to attract and attract and attract. Because if you don't ask for forgiveness and you get lost in that low vibrations, you have to chase and chase and chase. And what happens when you chase is you use somebody else's abundance, right? So you're not getting your own, you're using somebody else's. And that's where narcissistic characteristics come in, and things like that, because we're insecure in ourselves. And so we're going to project that on other people. And remember what I said about energies, right? Energy doesn't go away. So once we project something out onto somebody else, it comes back to us. So if it's negative energy, it comes back to us as negative energy. Karma. If it's positive, if it's love and compassion and understanding, guess what comes back to us? And that's how we attract things. You know? When you project out love, and which love conquers everything, you're going to attract everything back to you. And I was thinking, a way in which we could start that process of projecting love out is maybe go to your neighbor, bake them some cookies, or, I don't know, make them a cup of coffee and go over and sit down and have a conversation with them. Tell them, we've been neighbors for years and I've never talked to you. I really want to get to know who you are because we live so close together, we can look after each other. And believe you me, they are as lonely as you are. And that is how you project love. Doing kind, simple things. Hold the door open for someone. At the coffee shop, somebody's going in, let a person ahead of you in line. Buy a coffee for somebody behind you. That's a big thing that happened for a while. Is people would buy the coffee for the person behind them, and that person would buy the coffee for the person behind them, and you change people's lives. They change their whole day. And that is kindness. That is love. They're simple things. Maybe when you rush into your favorite coffee shop, buy a small coffee for the homeless guy sitting on the corner. That's love. Nobody has to see you. Just say, "Hey, bought your coffee, good morning." That person there, it will change their life. And it'll change yours too. You'll start attracting. When you give out love, and love doesn't always have to be monetary. Let's say you can't afford to do that. And there's so many people now that can't afford to do that. Say hi, say good morning. Say I see you in some way. Offer the seat to somebody, offer your seat to somebody on the subway or something, on the bus. Those simple, kind things can change the world and definitely can change you and what you attract. It'll change your life considerably when you start thinking of others first. That's the whole thought about service, right? Do things for others because it all comes back to you. Positive energy comes back as positive energy. You give out more love, you get more love. You give out more abundance, you get more abundance. If you can't give to a charity, ask them if you can help them out. Give them an afternoon or once a week. Go for a couple hours and help them do what whatever your charity is. Help them succeed by giving your time. Time is more valuable than money. It's giving and giving and giving that positive energy so you receive, you attract all that positive energy back. And that is the whole goal in life. Because if you project out, buddy, I'm going to beat you to that seat and God forbid you sit down before me in my bus, that's projecting bad energy. And that's what you get back. The whole idea of, somebody calls it fake it till you make it. Well, you just project out kindness. Kindness is a very simple thing you can do, and it doesn't cost you any money. Simply be kind to people. It'll change your life and theirs. You'll start attracting all this positive energy. And when you start attracting this, and when you're working on yourself, and you're slaying those dragons, that trauma in you, you're facing your trauma and growing as a person and becoming self-loved as a person, it is so much easier to slay a dragon in the feeling of love than it is in the feeling of hate. Then it's just an uphill battle. That dragon is so much stronger when you're filled with hate. But when you start attracting that love and that kindness back to you and that generosity, and it all starts coming back to you. So the more positive energy you give, the more positive energy that comes back. In everything you do. Everything. Your kids they get mad at you. And I know kids get mad pretty darn easy sometimes. But hey, you may be upset with them. Tell them that you love them anyway. We had a fight. I'm sorry we argued. We don't see eye to eye on that, but I still love you. That is such a positive thing. And it's so positive for the children. Because when they do have a problem, when they do have something they need to talk to you about, they're not scared that you won't love them. They know that, hey, shit, I screwed up. We had this argument. We didn't see eye to eye. But Mom said and Dad said they love me anyway. Despite that is unconditional love. It doesn't matter if you fight, argue, if they hurt you, if they make you mad, or they make you cry. You still love them. But that also goes in the fact that when they make you joyful and happy and proud and you're just like so positive in their life, you still love them. That unconditional love. It doesn't matter what happens, you'll have their back, no matter what. I can be mad at you, I can not like your choices, I can dislike everything you do, but I can still love you. And kids will push that, But when they know that no matter what, you're going to love them, it's going to be a game changer in your relationship. They got friends that, are friends if something happens, if you give me something, I'll be your friend. If you do this for me, I'll be your friend. They need somebody in their corner that no matter what happens, they're there for them. They love them no matter what. They don't have to agree with what they're doing, and they can try to steer them in the right way. But that doesn't mean you don't love them. In fact, that means more that you love them. It's when you don't participate at all. My teenager doesn't like me anymore, doesn't talk to me anymore. Well, when was the last time you told them that you loved them? You know, no matter what happens, son, daughter, him, she, they, them, I love you, no matter what. I'll always be here for you. I'll always be in your corner. I'll always back you. We may not see eye to eye, but I love you and I'll be here for you. Now, that's such an important thing. And it happens like your spouse, your partner, right? Your partner needs to know that no matter what, even when you're fighting, you love them. Look, honey, we had a big argument. I'm sorry about that. We don't see eye to eye on that. But I do love you. It's a powerful thing. It will change your life and theirs. And your relationship will grow so much stronger. Because it doesn't matter what happens, you guys are together. And that is a power couple. When you can be together, or a family together, and it doesn't matter what happens, you're going to love each other. That's power. That is power. Love conquers everything. Love is supreme, everything. And when your coworkers say, you have workers that your coworkers, and you do have some, there are some people that will take advantage of you, but you still have to love them. You may not have to tell them everything about you and allow them to get away with things like that, but still love them unconditionally. Unconditional love is not condoning what they do, is loving them regardless of what they do. Right? I mean, I've had people literally destroy my entire life, narcissistic people that are psychopathic, destroy my entire life. And you know what I do? I tell them no matter what, I'm going to love you. And it changes their life. They don't understand how you can love them after all that they have done for you, against you. But love prevails. You'll always be victorious. You'll always be in the victor's realm. You'll always be the emperor or the empress. You always win. Because love does not lose. Ever. It's never in vain. Never, never, never. I had one really narcissistic, really sociopathic person against me, and they did everything that you could possibly think of, even trying to kill me. And in the end, they figured out that they still love me. They love me. Why do they love me? Because I love them no matter what they did to me. No matter what their insecurities are. No matter how they project their life onto me. No matter how they want me to fail because they're failing. I still love them. And I told them unconditionally, I'm going to love you. Unconditionally. No matter what you do to me, I still am going to love you. And in the end, they literally started to love me. Now, unfortunately, mental health problems, and I'm not an expert on mental health problems, so please see somebody professional about that. But mental health problems don't change the way they perceive the world. But love changes the way they feel. It's like a love-hate thing. They love me so much that they hate me again. But they love me. And this could have been a relationship situation if it was a different dynamic, right? But that person was so jealous and so envious and so insecure and psychopathic, push things to the ultimate limit because they have no concept of what's going on in reality. But I just said, no matter what, I'm going to love you unconditionally. Unconditionally, I'm going to love you. You can hurt me, you can kill me, and I'm still going to love you unconditionally. And in the end, hopefully they're getting help. We don't communicate. We don't have to talk to each other anymore. But I know for a fact that they love me more than they hate me. Because I no matter how they projected themselves, it's loving somebody in their true form. They don't have to hide. There's no mask. You know that they're not a good person. You know they're a bad person. And just because you're banged up and got problems doesn't mean we throw your life away. That person needs love too. You know. And it was a horrific experience for me. But it also changed my life. I grew. I understood how love can conquer anything. Anything. You know? Now my higher self, the person I want to become eventually as the highest realm of person I want to be, knows that that person was literally my twin flame, but it was a karmic twin flame, unfortunately. That person was karmic. Was a hater. A lover and a hater. But the biggest fan of mine, couldn't get me off their mind. Thought of me constantly. But they hated me because they couldn't handle the love. The fact that we were supposed to be together. You know. And the mental health issues probably had a lot to do with that. Which is, but the other thing is God, like everybody has a twin flame. And so when your twin flame doesn't work like that, it becomes karmic, is against you and fights you all the time. God makes another twin flame for you, and you're going to find that you're going to attract that person to you, and they're going to attract you to them. And that connection will work, and it will be loving, and it will be the most powerful couple series in the history, like power couples. Twin flames are power couples because they love each other and they decide to be together, to work together, to go to war together, to fight together. And that is a power couple. And there should be lots of power couples right now. Millions of them. But unfortunately, we put up with karmic situations and, situations where instead of building our energy up, it drains our energy. The relationship where you hate to go home. Oh God, I gotta go home and deal with my partner. It just drains me all the time. That's not a twin flame. That's somebody settling for something. That's somebody chasing something and saying, oh, this guy is good looking or this girl's good looking, or, it doesn't matter what kind of sex partner you're looking for. Male, female, he, she, they, them, right? It doesn't matter. But if you chase them, then you get a kind of a karmic situation. When you attract somebody, when you give out the positive energy, the love and the compassion and the empathy, it comes back to you in the form of love, compassion, and empathy. And that's what you need in a partner, somebody that can truly love you the way you need to be loved. And you can love them the way they need to be loved. And you could be separate. You could be separate. because you're both powerful on your own. But when you get together, those two twin flames get together and make a really big flame. And those people that are destined to be single, not that there's anything wrong with that, because some people are twin flames within themselves. Their twin flame is the young child inside them. When they grow and strengthen themselves and love themselves so much, and they love that inner child, there's the two flames coming together and make that big flame. And they are powerful too. And some people are meant to be lone wolves. Powerful. Some people are meant to be the lion and the lioness together. The protection and the hunter together. In fact, I would think that everybody is the lion and the lioness together, and then they get into a partnership, and one takes one role and the other takes the other role, and they fight together to keep the family going, or to keep the relationship going, to keep their world going, to keep their love going, keep the passion alive. And when you choose to be with somebody, in opposed to having to be with somebody, can you imagine the passion and love that you could produce? When you want to go home because your partner's there? I want to be with my partner. I miss my partner all day. I want to be home with them. I want to be with them. Wow, what a different concept, eh? And when they're thinking the same thing, they're separated, like work situations or family situations, and they're thinking, man, I would just like to be with my partner. I would just like to be with them. So when you get together, that's passion. Because you're choosing to be together. And forgiveness is a big part of that. Both between each other and between the divine, the universe. You have to ask for forgiveness. And another thing is asking your partner for forgiveness when you do, make a mistake. Because everybody makes mistakes. We're human. Right? We're going to make mistakes, power couple or not. But when you ask for forgiveness, it's not for them. It makes them feel good, better. But it's for you, so you can move on. Anyway, that's it for today, guys. Love you all. Remember, there's stopcrimesagainstkids at gmail.com for any donations that you want to give to our Saving the Children kind of mission that we have. It's a very personal mission for me. I think there are so many things happening to kids nowadays that are disadvantaged and unable to look after themselves or have people to look after them. They become children of the night. They get into drugs, into gangs, into drug trafficking, and the whole the thing with kids. And kids are very important. So I want to look after kids. So and like the first video, we're looking for a state in the United States to open our first therapeutical shelter, which will be a housing complex for children in need, and they can stay there, go to school, get therapy, get help, and become good round kids before their soul gets sold, before they become children of the night, before they have to work. Kids are so important to us, and it's a real passion of mine to help these kids. So if you got a dollar that you could spare, Stop Crimes Against Kids, Stop Crimes Against Kids at gmail.com. If you can't afford it, a like and a subscribe to this would be awesome. I love you guys. Peace in your heart. Sorry about that.